let's do this. Let's jump into the estimating, transition into this. Don't have an estimate open at this point, but let's go ahead and do that. So just kind of giving you a clip of what we're going to be doing here is, first of all, we'll start off with an estimate that's already been completed, give you the flexibility of what we can do with the estimate and the data and the detail that we're seeing there. Then what we'll do is we'll jump into the takeoff methods, what do those look like, and give you kind of a array of what those capabilities are for those individual takeoff methods, and then we'll jump into some other aspects of the solution. But to begin with, start off with an estimate that's already complete or somewhat complete at this point. What you're seeing is of course some coloration, and of course it looks like a spreadsheet, right? Well, mentioned earlier, Excel is pretty much our number one competitor out there, and we have a lot of companies that are transitioning from the Excel spreadsheet to our solution. So we wanted to give you familiar territory to work with, but that's where it ends. I mean, it is a spreadsheet look and feel, but we want to give you capabilities that go way beyond, of course, what Excel is going to do for you. So when I look at this, I want to break out columns. I want to move these around. I want to maybe go ahead and change any one of these column heads, as you'd expect. I can say labor. And I already can put in background color. I've colored this up in specific area just to draw the eye. It's one of those things working with my customers. They'll utilize that, but I just like to show some of the flair that you can do there. But here's the thing. I've moved those columns around, but as an estimator, I don't want to see it the way that maybe John sees it. I want to see it the way that Darren wants to see it. So when I come in and see this detail, I can go in and open up these spreadsheet layouts for either different stages of the process or just the way that I want to see the detailed information. So in this case, I can say demo. If I wanted to add some additional columns to this, whatever it may be, I could go ahead and do that. I'm going to scroll through these. Plenty of them to look at there. We won't worry about that, but definitely should meet any need that you have. But in this case, demo. I want to say okay, double click on that. Now it's gone back to the way, matter of fact, labor is labor amount now. So you can create the look and feel of what you want to see in the way that you want to see it. Now let's dive down into the estimate itself and take a look at some of the things. Do you track labor productivity? Or do we just do it labor cost per unit? Or are we going to throw the hours in there? Or do we just want a labor amount column, which you can hide any one of these? But here's the key thing to this is when you think of this, each one of these columns we can write into. Each one of these fields we can go ahead and jump into. And what I always like to compare it to is Excel. So if I actually wrote in each one of these cells, what would happen? Well, we'd break some links, maybe some formulas would be ruined, et cetera, et cetera. Not doing that. Everything is happening behind the scenes. So in this case, maybe the guys are going to kick it out of the park today, 10 cubic yards per hour. Watch our labor amount over here. Of course, it's going to change. Or maybe the labor cost per unit is going to be, let's say, $400 per cubic yard. Or we know the amount of hours I've been estimating for years. I know it's going to take us about 10 hours to complete this job. And last but not least, maybe a gut feel on this, 90,000. We'll just go ahead and put in that number right there. First of all, when you're writing in these numbers here, back calculating it to the labor productivity for you. And if I do a lump sum, that's a highlighter for you. It says, okay, hey, you've gone in, you've taken the logic out of the system. The logic we put in the system. And by the way, back to what I was talking about, when you've got these individuals within your estimating group, department, they've got all of this information, all this detail in their head, and they go out and maybe even do a job, price it out just by walking it off. But what we want to do is once again, standardization, but take that knowledge and put it into a system that's replicatable, right? So when we look at that, we've got logic built into these and formulas that we've built into these as well. So, but I look at this now as a lump sum. I put that in there. It's going to highlight that. During the review process, I may want to make some notes, which we have a note field you can put in that information. The other thing is And we're going to go ahead and select this guy right here. We're going to select a crew. Now this could be associated with this guy right out of the gate. It could be attached to the item, but I can select it on the fly. What's nice about this is now I can go in and manage what that crew is going to look like. Do we need maybe 3 carpenters? Maybe we need to add some additional resources to this, like the air compressor, or maybe a carpenter helper. Let's just look at the labor so that we can see roofer. Let's add that individual in there as well. Now keep in mind, going back to the equipment and labor rate tables, these particular individuals will have the burden already applied to them if you want. So easily done, but can go ahead and modify that on the fly. And then last but not least, when we look over here, there's more power to it, but we're gonna just stop with this last one right here. When you look at it, of course, we want to do a comparison maybe on the spreadsheet to our self-perform number. So what we can do is take advantage of our address book. Now, here's the thing: when you look at our accounting, our project management, even our cloud project management and bid management solutions, we have one global contact database that you can utilize, take advantage of. But hey, you can have your own separate one. I've actually worked with some estimators that say, well, I'm going to have it all over here in the estimating world. I'm not going to share that throughout the corporation, the business. So we'll have it to ourselves. But in this case right here, what we can do is go down here. Let's say concrete. I'm going to say these 4 companies I've worked with. Then I can put in their unit price. I can say, okay, well, their unit price is going to be $900, or it's going to be a lump sum. So when we look at that, of course, that's going to highlight that for us as well. It's a lump sum. And if you decide, hey, I want to go ahead and select this guy, use this subcontractor, you always have your self-perform or your benchmark number there to compare it against. Nice to have that capability right there. So that gives us a little bit of the flavor of, hey, we can make this look and feel the way that we want. We can modify the information in the estimate very easily. Now what if you want to see this broken out rather than the 16 division or 48 division? Maybe we want to see it by floor, by building, by area, by room, whatever it may be. So what I can do is use these tabs at the bottom here to selectively see that information the way I want to see broken out. By the way, these are all costs that we're seeing here, so you know. And looking at that, though, let's break those costs out by building. And I didn't show this, but we can minimize that information just so we're seeing the overlying totals right there. Or we can jump into the details where we want as well. Expand or collapse the information as you're going through. The other thing I want to point out is you'll notice every time I flip the page or flip to a different look, a different feel, a different work breakdown structure is what it's called, then it's going to give us a different look and feel for the spreadsheet. So now I can get rid of everything. So when you look at the flexibility it brings to the table, have it look and feel. Get rid of all the lines if you don't want them. Show only the columns that you want to see in each one of these particular breakouts right here. How about material class? We can break it out by material class, so on and so forth. Or I talked about uniformat as well. Now the other thing that you look at is what if this was intended, and let's go to actually the building one for this example. Maybe these items were intended to be in building 2. We can very simply move these around very easily, wherever they're supposed to be intended for, and we can put them there.